opportunity to have a conversation with Mr. Patil. It's been an old and a long association with him. Um, it's always been a pleasure working with his novels, and I've enjoyed translating them because there's something about them that really touches me. He's a bureaucrat, retired now? Yes, but he has written innumerable books, mainly historical fiction, which take a lot of time, a lot of research, and a lot of effort to put together. But in all his busy professional life, he's managed to do this, and that's something quite admirable. I have translated one of his very well-known and well-received novels. It's a faction, if you can call it, historical fiction, based on a lot of research in fact. It's called Mahanayak. It's based on the life of Netaji. And it was received very well and appreciated by his daughter when she had come to India a long time ago. So I was overwhelmed by the amount of research that had gone into the making of that book. But the first book I translated was what I have not been able to forget, though I had finished that sometime in 1997, 98. It was called Zhada Dharti and translated as A Dirge for the Damned. After a long time, I went back to translating a short story that he has written recently with a similar background. And that was called Don Muthi Mati, Two Fistfuls of Earth, which appeared in Indian literature in July 2022. Both these stories are absolutely unforgettable because they have that extremely powerful quality of touching you in most inexplicable way. They're not about people that you know. They're not about a society that you are part of, particularly me. I'm totally urban, totally English, with an English education. I have never lived in rural Maharashtra or anywhere. But there was something about the writing that just took my breath away and inspired so many hours of tears and hard work. I couldn't continue because I was weeping with the characters. So that was Zhada Dharti. But after that, you have written Sambhaji, you've written Shivaji, you've written Panipat. How did you do all this?
Many more novels, social novels also. On the life of Mumbai, the lust for Lalbagh, the lust for Mumbai. It is about the story of mill workers, how around 64 mills were routed, they were chopped out from the Mumbai, and how nearly 2 lakhs of mill mazdoors were they were made with misery of their life, and they were no more in the Mumbai. That was the big subject. Then I wrote one Chandramukhi, a novel on Tamasha Bele, on which just a few months back there was a very successful film, namely as a Chandramukhi. That is a love story, and few more social novels are also there. But fortunately or unfortunately, I got more name on historical fictions.
So why did you choose to write historical fiction? Was it a matter of choice or it just happened, a coincidence?
No, it was not matter of joy at all, but it was a sort of gist inside me. About Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, there were 2 of his relatives who got Gyanpith Award also, like Vishnu Dey and Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay. But nobody has touched the subject Netaji as it was supposed to. And there were many blacks, and it was needed to travel all over the world. So for the preparation of that novel, I traveled from Japan to Germany, and I did lots of work. And though I have got many awards on the success of Mahanayak novel, I feel my greatest award was that Mr. Sunil Kumar Gangopadhyay wrote a separate article in a magazine Desh, and he admitted that it was my ambition to write a novel on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, but this Marathi writer has done my all of work, so I am not going for that book. So that was the great appreciation I feel. So out of some gist or some lust, I went for it.
That comes very clearly in the book, how much admiration you have for him and how much respect you had for the work that you were writing and the kind of responsibility it involved, because when you're writing about such a well-known figure and not always non-controversial, when so much of documentation was not available, it was all classified, to have done this kind of research, to have traveled, to have tried to go to the depths of the truth and then present your point of view, I think was a tremendous achievement. But then you've taken up characters like Sambhaji, you've taken up characters like Shivaji, and all of them are icons. I mean, they are people who worshipped, they are people who have held in high esteem. So how did you take them up as your protagonists, and how have you presented them to the public in an acceptable way?
Initially, I felt that those were outside characters. Now there is a Sambhaji Brigade in Maharashtra. It has become a political force and everything. But 20 years, 25 years back, nobody was talking good about Sambhaji. There was a sort of stigma, ek dhabba. He was an unworthy son of a great father. But I made research and I proved before Maharashtra that no, he was a valorous boy. He was the greatest warrior in the land, and in all calamities, how he sorted out his zeal, his dheya, and after that, a new movement started in Maharashtra, that is Sambhaji. It is so much so that nowadays people are considering Sambhaji more than Shivaji also. So, I think fortunately or unfortunately, these subjects came on my table. Initially, I speak about Panipat also. Nobody was talking about Panipat in good terms. They were saying that all Marathas lost their life and they were badly defeated on the plain of Panipat near Kurukshetra. What are you going to write on this subject? And there I proved that, and inside, under the smoke of that defeat, how there was a great valor and parakram of those Marathi warriors, and now the table has turned. When I visited Panipat in 1986, I spent 3 days through that sugarcane fields in search of that Samadhi of Bhosaheb Peshwa. Nobody was going there. But now on every 14th January, there is a crowd of more than 60-70,000 people to salute the Hutatmas of Panipat. I feel this is a great victory of a pain.
Which means that yesterday we were talking about this, and you told me a very interesting story about your visit to Rohtak. Do you want to tell the audience? Because it was very interesting how he was drawn to that place without any kind of plan, intention, or desire. He was just taken there, and it was purely by coincidence. So obviously there was a greater connect, a deeper connect. So another question that comes to my mind when when you said that now there is a movement, Sambhaji Brigade, and Panipat has become a place of pilgrimage for people who worship or who want to respect or show their respect for reverence for the heroes of Panipat. Now, there is a belief or a feeling that writers have very little impact, or anything they write has a very little impact on social consciousness of the public at large, and that it really doesn't make a difference. Do you agree with that view?
No, I should admit and I should declare that I was a socially oriented person and still I am there. My first novel, a novella, was published when I was in second year. Its name was Ambi, about a village girl. That 200-page novel. When I was studying in SYBA, and it was published with the aid of Navlekha Anudan Yojana of Maharashtra government. I still recollect that in my childhood I attended one nuptial, a sort of wedding ceremony, where there I found a girl, a village girl of 14 to 15 years. She rushed in the company, in the marriage deciding company, and she straightway asked her father, "Look, Baba, you are spending more than 10, 12 visits to every weekly market bazaar, every market cattle bazaar for searching a good bullock for our field work. But here you chose your son-in-law within 2 seconds only." So I got a sort of alertness, and I found misery of many girls and many people, and I was attracted towards social subject. You are talking about Jhadajarti, a dirge for the dam, but I still recollect one incident. For the dowry or dahej of a girl, every father, he goes such a great extent, he can do and undo anything for the raising of the money for Dahej. And I found a father who was a shepherd, who was a Dharangast shepherd, agriculturist, and he was sitting in a village, and my Talati or village officer showed me that person who was sitting with their back to the sun, and he showed me some nakshi on his back, and he told me that this person, this farmer fought with a tiger for skinning out, for getting the skin of that tiger to sell in the market for raising the money of dowry. And I saluted to that brave father. So such kind of characters, I came into close association with those people. That is the story behind back of Jhadajarti.
In fact, that forms a chapter, very, very powerful, moving chapter in Jhadajarti, where Kusharaja, the Raja of the jungle,
Yeah.
he fights a tiger only to get the dowry, and then he gets the tiger skin, and he is caught by the police because he has killed a tiger. With that kind of injustice, that kind of unfairness that exists in our society, and because I think Mr. Patil, you may not say it to me, because you seem to be so connected with rooted in the soil of Maharashtra, in that part of the world, in part of the country. You know the people, you know the characters, you know their suffering, both through your work, because you were a rehabilitation officer.
Yeah, I was a rehabilitation officer.
You were there,
in Pune
you
district.
seen what happened during the township project.
Yeah.
And so because these are all part of your real life experiences, you've been able to get them across in such a moving manner. I believe that your historical fiction is extremely well researched and well presented, but these two novels, Pangira, Dharajarti, and then Dudiya, the novel about a Naxalite movement, and also those motifs, these are closer to your art than the other major works that you have done. Because as far as the reader is concerned, I think these have more emotional appeal and the others have more intellectual. They appeal to your mind.
That is there. See, there I recollect that 6-7 years back I was appointed as a election observer in Chhattisgarh in Naxalite area. That time I came across with such many younger boys and girls. They were having two choices in front of them. Gun was necessary. They should carry gun. Either the gun of police or the gun of Naxalite. There was not a third choice. So I came across such many girls, and at that time I visited many prisons also. Then I visited some surrender camps also, and I came very close to those girls and boys. I took their interview. I spoke with them for many days, and on that notes only, that novel is framed, Duriya, in thy burning land. So, it was firstly published, some chapters were published in a Pune Diwali number, and before appearance of Marathi novel, it was got published in Oriya, in Hindi also, and nowadays it is a bestseller in Hindi as well. So I got very good response for that different subject.
This is as far as your themes and your subject matter is concerned. I wanted to ask you about language, about Marathi language. Today, there is, Marathi, standard Praman Marathi, as they call it, standard Marathi, has been used by certain sections of writers, whereas Gramin Bhasha has become very popular, the language of the rural areas. And this language, which is as relevant, as legitimate as any other manner of expression, because we all speak in different dialects, how do you reconcile Praman Bhasha with Gramin Bhasha in your writing, when you need to?
No, I don't bother for language. I feel that the language should come along with the emotions. Language should speak it should come with dialogue of that nature, of that character, of that atmosphere. If a farmer is speaking, he should speak like that. If teacher is coming, he should use his own language. So there is no point in making differences, Praman Bhasha and Praman Bhasha. I don't consider that. When I write a historical novel, I go in the blood and skin or bones of that character, and I assume how that characters should speak out, and naturally that language comes.
So it comes to you naturally, you say.
Yeah.
And that is true, because and I'm only talking of my experience of Zharajarti and Mahanayak, both of which I have translated, and both presented very different problems. Now the characters in Zharajarti are primarily, there's a school teacher, there is the bureaucracy, the IAS officer.
Madam, there is one play instrument in Maharashtra, Dapli or Dholki.
Yes.
Before beating it, it is needed to warm it on fire. So I think that when writer goes for a writing, he is tuned up with that atmosphere for many days. And that chamda,
the leather
the leather is warmed already, and that leather and that beating speaks the language, speaks the tune of their character automatically.
So, that's exactly what I was trying to say, that you don't do it consciously, it comes naturally, because language is important. How else do you convey a character? To me, the biggest learning that I have from my experience as a translator has been respect for language, because language is what brings out your personality, your character, your background. It tells you so much more. The kind of language I use, let's say here, and the kind of language I would use at home. It tells, also establishes the relationship between two characters.
Yeah.
This, the owner of the land and the peasant who's working for
Really,
him.
many times I speak this, that when I start new subject, I go and I become a denizen of that new village. I stay there for many days, months, and I come close with the pattern of crops and seasons and cattle and that soil. So you are a denizen of that village, that town, and automatically then it comes.
Yes. So this is why I asked.
It may be a historical subject or a social subject. I'll tell you that I don't consider any novel as a historical novel, any novel as a rural novel or rural story. Every story is a story of human being. The frame may be different, the atmosphere may be different, but there should be human story. Then only you can come out. Then only you can dazzle with your art, with your creation.
I think that's a beautiful way of putting it. And
Well, because you see, you take a famous atmosphere of famous example of novel Swami by Ranjit Desai. How that Peshwa was cheated by his uncle. But after reading, after going through some passages, every reader feel that my uncle is troubling me like this. So this becomes a story of the humankind. It can't remain as a historical story.
I agree, and that is why your fiction is so popular. And the distinction that is being made between Gramin and Praman Bhasha nowadays is because a lot of the writers who have become mainstream, who were on the margin, say 50 years ago, 65, 70 years ago, have now become mainstream. And from whatever little I read of Marathi or I'm aware of Marathi, these lines are drawn because it's a kind of expression of identity, of establishing and asserting themselves. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, good or bad, whatever it is. But yes, it's very much a reality. And maybe it's only spoken of not by writers who are using language, but by academics who are sitting discussing the growth and the evolution and development of a language or a literature. And because you are also a student of literature, I'm putting this question to you. What of all the works that you have written, which one is closest to your heart?
I think it is yet to come.
That's a good one. But okay, so those that have come, I mean, it's as unfair asking him which is his favorite book as asking a mother who's your favorite child. But I'm sure you have a slight soft corner for one of the books that you've written.
I have written many books. Now I have penned down one biography of Anna Bhau Sate, the exponent of Dalit literature and female. The name of the book is Anna Bhaunchi Dard Bhari Dastan. I think he was a greatest and major writer of Marathi, but he was not considered and he was not talked about by the so-called critics, and though they were speaking about the Gospels, the thoughts of Ambedkar, Shau Phule, though they were considering themselves as a progressive, they forgot the most progressive writer. So there are many books I like. I like that Anna Bhaunchi Dardavari Dastan. I like Jhada Jadti. And I like most the Lust for Lalbagh. Lust for Lalbagh is the true story of selling of Mumbai for big persons, international goons. How Bombay was slowly and systematically was sold out. How the land under beneath or the land of 62 major mill lands was sold. I recollect that Bombay when we were living in Mumbai, Mumbai was waking up with the shrill sound of bhongas of Girnis. That Bombay is not there. And it was systematically chopped out, it was systematically finished, and once upon a time, the Bombay was Mumbai was the Mumbai of mill workers. My one brother writer spoke very much today about Mumbai and Mumbai's characteristics, but he forgot about
the mill workers.
The mill workers. So how systematically that Bombay must have sold, you can imagine.
No, the city of Bombay is something. Bombay, Mumbai, call it whatever you want. It has so many layers, so many identities that no matter how many books you write on it, something will always be left out for somebody else to explore.
And I still recollect those chawls of Girni Mazdoors. You won't believe that around 80 people were staying in a small room of 10 feet by 15 feet. How it was possible that they were living in the Mumbai in three pali. How they were working in daytime, late at night and early morning. That way they were sleeping 3 times, line by line. And I recollect there was very small latrines and 2-3 latrines, and there was always a row of 40, 50, 60 people with that tiffin of dalda. That dalda tiffin carrying water, and that was a picture. Many people asked me that how you learn to digest the dukh, the tragedy, how you start digest misery. I tell them that I learned to digest everything in that row of latrine.